to be 4096, right? And I'm going to use hold on. Okay, we're starting fresh. So I changed the path from the C drive to the F drive. Okay, and I have command prompt to open. So now I'm opening VirtualBox. Run as administrator. So I go into my window. I type V. There it is, Oracle VirtualBox, run as administrator. Yes. Okay. Now I want to create a new machine. So I'm going to call new. And since I already set my commands up over here, I'm going to call it Mac OS X. Copy. And it's going to, the machine folder is going to be in other. It's going to be in the F drive. And it's going to be in USB VirtualBox. And I'm going to call it Mac OS X. And I'm going to specify to be 4096, right? And I'm going to use the existing virtual hard disk. Now I'm typing in to exit. And then we're going to boot from the EFI. But before I do that, I just want to show you the settings. So general is the Mac OS. The display is all the way up. Storage is the USB disk VMDK that we created with this command. I can find it. I can't find the command at the moment, but it's a command to create a USB boot disk in the drive, and you do it in command prompt. And then you have an empty disk, and then you attach the virtual disk that you want. We're booting from USB. That's the whole point. Booting from USB. Booting from USB. Booting from USB. I have to remember that. I have to sing it back to myself so it sinks into my head. We're booting from USB. Booting from USB. Okay. So, but the way the USB is configured is you have to add a filter. And then you also have to, in this management, if you're booting in Windows C, this is how you get the actual path for the USB disk, is you disk management. I'm typing in Windows right now, disk management. And then you go to Microsoft Management Console, and then you just you want to make sure that the disk that you initially created, the USB VMDK, is the same partition that is, and right now it's disk 1, but that's not correct. So the USB didn't attach. So now I'm going to attach the USB, and it's saying I need to format it, but I don't need to format it. Cancel, because it's saying that it's not accessible, but that's not true. There it is right there, disk 3. It's a boot disk. but I can't be running this and attaching it right in the middle. You know what I'm saying? So I have to get out of there, but that's where you find it. So it's disk 3, the removable SANS disk USB 3.0, 20.8.65. This is a boot drive. Okay. So it is disk number. There's 1 disk, 2 disks, 3 disks. Forget those disks up here. Forget those. That's partitions and this. Just these down here. This is the removable disk right there. It's 3. So, gotta exit out of there. Cancel. 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 Power off. Okay. How do you fix that? So, now that it's disk 3, but we set the disk path to be 1, we have to start up VirtualBox and delete the last save point, I believe. I could be wrong. Let me just see how the USB is set up. Sounds this USB 3.0. Storage, USB, empty. Virtual USB, VMDK, that one up there. But it was set to disk 1, so now we might have to change the disk. I'm going to try it again. We might have to change the disk. Now, if you notice, it's not going to boot up into the virtual machine verbose log. It's going to boot into the EFI because the plist is not. In this way, I don't know what to say. This is just one way I know of how a way around. I'm not trying to go around, but if sometimes so I can't. So if you look at the 3 disks, go to boot manager, and you're using your arrow keys on the keyboard on the laptop or your desktop. You're using arrow keys. So okay, so we're not using EFI. We don't have a CD-ROM, right? So it's one of these 2 hard disks, and it's going to be probably the second hard disk. Because just a minute ago, before I was streaming, of course, before I was streaming, it booted into starting to install Catalina. And it was literally like installing Catalina. I'm like, no. I already have like 1 Catalina that's messed up that I'm trying to fix and it's messed up. But then as soon as I was saying, no, don't boot. I stopped it and I'm thinking to myself, no, boot. I want a fresh copy. I need a fresh copy of Catalina because that's the only thing I don't have a fresh copy of. Fresh Catalina. I could have kept going. And then I switched the settings and then you go in circles and then it gets crazy. Anyway. When you get to that EFI shell, it's one thing you have to remember. It's not the end of the world. That doesn't mean your machine's not going to boot. You just have to enter some commands, and I don't really know the commands, but all I know is how the exit command, how to put in FS0 semicolon, boot manager, boot from EFI. You hit boot If you want to get to the boot EFI log, you have to go into the EFI file, which is in System Library, Core Services, Data, something like that. Because System Library, Core Services, where I just was, but I didn't actually load the boot EFI, but I have done that before. Yes, I have. It's a long process. It's been so learning, a long learning process. Yeah. It's going to be. I'm gonna search for it in the F drive. It's gonna be right at the bottom. There it is. Okay, we'll choose that. Okay. And then what we do, okay, is use a virtual hard disk, USB, okay. Oh, let's do guided mode. Other F drive. It's going to be USB box, select folder. Still gonna name it that, right? And then you hit oh, what? Alright. If you okay. Right. Okay, so we open that, create a virtual machine, load the virtual machine, and as a consequence, us users should load in the same way as you're loading a standard PC. Okay. Next. Want it to be 4098. Next. Using a virtual hard disk. It's going to be USB VMDK. And then you just hit create. Okay, then I gotta exit out. File, gotta exit out and enter the rest of the commands. So here we go. I'm gonna go VBox, manage, copy. No. Control Z. No. Let's just get out of there. I gotta configure it first. So let's go back, open back up, VirtualBox, Resident Administrator. Now we gotta configure it. So we gotta configure Mac OS X settings. So the system is going to be uncheck the floppy. Processor is going to be 4. Storage, display is going to be all the way up. Storage is going to be, we're going to attach that Catalina disk so that it can use that as a, whatever. It's in another. Well, we don't want this. We want to go back because we want a different disk. We want to go back. Oh my God. Oh no. See, this is where it was about to log in. This is where it was about to log in. If you see, we're at Green's lock state 3. But I switched the disk. I think that's the problem. No, because it's oh yeah, because no, because it's USB disk 1. It's gonna power off the machine and start it again. Let's see, when I loaded it the first time when it was booting to Catalina and about to install it, I don't know what I did exactly. It was like, it's always like that. It's always moments like that where it just, you can't explain it. And you did some slight alteration and it just, trying to replicate it is like, so you go into exit, type exit in the EFI shell. And this is how I remember I did it. I didn't CD-ROM. Nope. Nope. There's only 4 choices, and it's one of the 4. So it's going to say what it's loading. It loaded macOS Catalina, which is the VMDK that we're using. Now that would be, it's synonymous with a VMDK that you created, that you formatted, 20 gigs, resizable, or whatever that term is, you know what I'm talking about. Or you can have it fixed. You can create your own VHD extra or your own VDI, whatever size, 20 gigs, 50 gigs, 300 gigs, 500 gigs, 10 gigs, minimum 50. That's just, I just say, guys, don't go below 50 because these operating systems need space to run. Don't go below 50 gigs. I mean, I can't believe how many machines I've got to run, like, and they're not all working perfectly, but they run. But VirtualBox is not liking it because I'm using Hyper-V, which is not supposed to be on technically. It doesn't work with VirtualBox, but unfortunately my machines have to have Hyper-V on for some reason, and that's why I have so many problems because there's all these virtual adapters that are attached that are Microsoft, and some are third-party, some are hidden, some are I don't know. Some are third-party. Most are Oracle. Because Oracle logs, you can't touch Oracle logs. You can't touch your source. but I try to find the logs and make copies and then just make a rich text file to duplicate it to study it. Mounted OS Catalina on disk 2. See, I made a boot disk and a bootable installer of Big Sur and a bootable installer of Catalina. Perfectly. They work. They're it's a real installer. It's not like a third party. It's the actual Apple software from Apple Mac OS Catalina, and I have a version of Big Sur, Mac OS Big Sur. They're bootable installers on USB 3.0 flash drives, but technically they want you to only boot on a Macintosh piece of hardware. So if you're booting on a Windows or a Hackintosh, then you might run into problems. That's just the way it is. But I've been every look on the screen, all those X's in gray on the virtual machines, those are all Mac. So obviously people are doing it, it's being done, and Apple, unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, is, can't really help this because so many people are already using this technology for this, and the other. So, like, all these little things I learned is just by watching other people. I don't just make this stuff up. This is stuff that's passed down from people like GitHub and developers, and developers share it, and then the public gets it, and that's how I learn. It is so cold. It's winter time here now where we are. So cold. My dogs are very upset. Brace synchronization point zero. Brace synchronization point 2. Green screen. The console. This is state 3. This is like where the magic happens. I hope it works. Might not though, because when it did install, when it was actually to the same exact place in Lock State 3 console, it I didn't have to boot in the EFI shell. It just the USB setup just booted, but I might be disconnected. So I don't know if it detaches itself. No. See, right now it should be shifting over. It should be shifting over into the install. I mean, it has instructions to, right? As if you look at the very last line down here, IO console, GI screens, lock state 3, HSL bus, NL, lows, SML, XO. I've been testing a lot of Android apps. I found the best no app yesterday. Oh boy, here we go. Let me see here now. See, the USB has to be attached a certain way. And that's how I did it last time. I gotta stop recording. See, technically, last time, I think when it worked correctly, I didn't have to. No, it booted into Catalina when I did the EFI. So you type exit. It did. It did. Boot manager, not boot. Not, see, you can't get it here. I don't think. No, 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 no. Here we go. I found it. I did have to go into the boot EFI shell. I forgot. I forgot. That's right. I did do that. I just remembered. Thank God this is streaming, because now, even though I'm not recording that, okay, let me just document this real quick. Okay, this is the last video. Just quickly, we did have to boot from the EFI shell from the HFS volume 2. That's something we did have to do. So that volume 2 disk is what we had to boot from, and we'll see if it makes a difference. Note to self, stop recording. Great. No, 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 no. Okay. All right. So we're good on that end. Yeah, the last time I didn't boot from the EFI shell, you guys, just FYI, this last loop, I didn't actually pick the EFI. Well, now watch the difference. So we got stuck at the last console green lock state 3. Now, what we are doing is we are mounting Catalina VMDK. We are mounting Mac OS Catalina VMDK, and we are booting Mac OS Catalina. .14.6 via the USB 3.0. We are booting in VirtualBox. We are not booting from an ISO in the CD-ROM. We are not booting through an ISO. We are booting from the USB 3.0. Okay. In case anybody's wondering these things. Array synchronization point 1. Uh-oh, no good. Array synchronization point 2. Uh-oh, now we are 3 again. Console user green. State 3. I think the disk wrong. It's supposed to already been started. Yeah, this one is difficult. I can't recreate this one.